Greetings, guys. In today's lesson, I'll show you how to actually write unit tests for the code. Because, in the last one, I didn't actually test it. I wrote code and I got the results and I was done with it. Okay, so let's get into it. So, first of all, before we get into tests, I realized that I didn't provide you with a CSV file. So let's quickly fix that. So I'll check it in also into the repository. So let's grab the CSV file. It's here, beandebug.net. Okay. So what I'll do, some data CSV, I'll put it here in the root folder of the application. And you can see it has reappeared here. Very good. I'll remove it from here so that you see that it reappears in a moment. Okay, and what I'll do, I'll set its properties to and build action. None is fine, but do not copy. Copy if newer, copy to output directory. And let's save it. So what it will do after I build the solution, it will make it appear here. Building, so this makes, this is command, basically it copies the file to the build folder. And let's run it just to be sure that it still works. All right. And as you can see, result is still produced. Right. Let's check it in quickly. So it will be lesson 1 and adding input file to solution. And let's check it in. Push. Tools and push. I have created a quick readme. That's why it prompted me saying that I need to first pull my changes and then push. We'll get to it later. All right, testing. So I would actually like to test that my sum works correctly. How do we do it? The easiest way is to add a new, and the way that I prefer is to add a new project, which will be xUnit test project. Well, next. And we could name it test calculator test, employee calculator test, employee calculator test. Next create. All good. All right, so what we can see here is a class. We'd like to use level of namespaces fact. All right, so now you can see in dependencies here are some third-party dependencies. It has installed xUnit. So that's a framework that we will be using for our unit tests. All right, so what would I like to test here? I would like to test the business logic. What is business logic that I have created? Business logic is that for a given person, the sum of these values is actually correct. All right. And how we can do that? First, then I would like to have some test data. And I would need to create my own test data. How could I do that? Usually it's the easiest way is to take some existing data. So let's copy paste it, open it in Notepad++. I'll copy paste it, but I'll just take one line. It's easier to track it, what I'm doing. One line, and I'll change data for something that is easily testable, so that I can calculate with a usual calculator or whatever. What is the sum of these numbers? All right, that's good. Let's save it. We can save it to actually the root of this test solution, test project. Sorry. Okay, and let's call it employee test. tell it's CSV. And save. Great. New lines. And you can see it appeared here. So now there are two ways. One way we can do the same as we did for some data file, basically setting its property to copy it to the output directory. I prefer a different way for testing. So there is another way of doing it, which is build action called embedded resource. So this will actually embed the file into the output DLL. Clear so far. Okay, so how do we actually write a test? Well, we can... a test should read data from this file, and then it should check the sum. That's what we do. I will not test writing to the CSV file here. We can do it later. Okay, so first thing that I need to read data. So how do I do it? I want to test the code that I have written here. So reading data is this code. Now that I realize it, it's not very testable, because this is hard-coded. I have a different file name. I need to refactor this code. Let's do that. So how will I refactor it? I'll extract a separate class. I'll add a class, and I'll break it down to smaller functions. We can call it calculator. Okay. So the first, what does it do? It basically reads from file and parses into the object model. So I would give it a file. Let's create two functions. First, the function will actually parse the data. Here it is. From lines to object model. So I will create a function called parse. So it has to have an output type. So what will be at output of this function? It will be a list of my employees. So far, this will be the output. What will be the input? In a minute, I'll tell you. And let's grab this code and move it there. Calculator. Nice. For the beginning, I'll make it a static function. It means that I don't need to create any instances. Easier for now to understand. All right. So what does it say? Cannot use local variable lines because it's not here. So I'll pass to this function a list of lines. It's a list of strings. Okay. So now what does it say? Not all code paths, return a value. Yeah, I need to return something of this type of list of employees. So this is my employees. I'll return those. Return employees. Okay, this I don't need. Great. So now I can actually use this function from here, from my real code. So it will be basically employees. Cool, and I get calculator. Now, 5+ lines that I have. Right. All builds and runs. So now here we will call the file. What we will test? We will test yearly. Oh no, we will. The method will test it, but this will be a calculator test. Calculator test. Okay, so here I want to test the same thing, which is basically I want to grab my employees And what does it say? That it doesn't know what calculator is because it is in a separate assembly, right? In a separate DLL. So I need to reference from my test project, my real project. It is done like this: dependencies, add project reference, and play calculator. Okay. So now when I press Control dot, I get this using. All right. Lines. How do I get lines? So one of the ways would be, as I said, to just change it to copy to the output, but I don't want. I want to read an embedded file. So how do I do that? Let's Google it. C# reading embedded resource. Reading embedded resource looks good to me. How to read? Okay. So we will be using assembly, get execution assembly, then resource name, and then stream reader. Okay, sounds legit. Put this code here. But I don't actually want to make this code too messy. So it will be, I'll create a separate function which will read a file, embedded file. Read embedded file. It will take a file name. This here. Okay. Where embedded file. I'll call it like this. Read embedded file. The name of the file. It will be, so as you can see, we need to pass in the full file name that includes a namespace, basically like this. Test, and then my file is called employee test data CSV. This will be like this. Read embedded file, file name. Now we need to use it. Resource name. Sure. And we have a result, and we will just return it. So this is a full string, and what I would like to do to get my lines, I would just need to split it into lines. I use again string split. String embedded file, so string split, basically. Embedded file, split. And we will be splitting by environment new line. Environment new line. This is the way I am getting the files. Okay. So what does it tell me now? That list, it is an array of lines, and I'm expecting in parse, expecting a list. Okay, so the way to do it is to not overcomplicate things, we just to convert it to a list. And there are more elegant ways to solve it later on. Okay, let's check if this works. So now we will go and check, right click and show in Task Explorer. Okay, so yeah, showing Task Explorer, here it is, solution, okay, and let's debug it. Oh, so it was able to read it. Employees. What? 78. Okay, so it was able to read it, as you can see. And it has calculated something. 78. So I would now quickly check my stuff. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9. Oops. Plus 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12. 78 it is. Okay, good. No issues made. So now the last part that we want to do some assertion. So this is called basically preparation of data. This is actually executing the code that is running, and the third part will be asserting the results, checking the result. For checks, I like to use assert. I like to use actually other library, but we will go with for now with assert. It's inbuilt, and later on we will refactor. Assert equal, not this. So we would, what does it say? Expected and actual. Actual employees dot yearly sum. First employee yearly sum, and it should be equal to 78. All right, and let's run it. And now the test shows green. And if I put something else here, or if I change the logic in yearly sum, it will fail. So now I have a test that ensures that I have something calculating correctly. Okay, guys, that's all I wanted to show you today. So let's now check it in. Lesson 2, unit testing. Unit testing, reading embedded file. Okay, commit, push. Great. Okay, yeah, thank you for watching. In the next one, we will be learning on how to actually write less code, because this parsing is not good. We will learn how to use third-party libraries and how to make our life easier. Thank you, and see you in the next one.